Hello and welcome to the Coaching Masters Coaching Foundation course. This is session 1 of the course. My name's Liam Collins. I am one of the co-founders of the Coaching Masters. And if you've made it this far through your membership, you know who I am already. But I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about me as we go along, because I think it's important for you guys to know that you're in safe hands. It's important for you guys to always know that you're learning from people who have been there, done it, and made a success of coaching. But this is really exciting. So let's just dive straight in with the content of the Coaching Masters Coaching Foundation course. But you're probably asking yourself, what is the Coaching Foundation course here at the Coaching Masters? Now, one of the most important points to make is that it's included in your Coaching Masters membership. So as part of your Coaching Masters membership, we have included a Coaching Foundation course completely for free. Now, what is the course? You will have access to training videos that will teach you the foundations of coaching. Watch the training sessions in your own time, absorb the content in your own time, but that's one of the most important things to know, is that you will be learning the foundations of coaching during this foundation course. Okay, now it's really exciting, it's packed with knowledge, it's packed with value, but you're going to learn that as you go along. Now, the foundations of coaching, whether you're a seasoned coach or you're brand new, it's vital that here at the Coaching Masters, we provide you with a strong platform to start coaching people. Because of course, that's what we want you guys to do. We want you to coach people. We want you to create impact in people's lives. We want you to become successful. So we wanted to include this free training as part of your membership in order to teach what we consider to be some of the foundational principles of coaching. And that's what this course is all about. And enjoy yourself, guys, right? Now, this is the very beginning of a journey that you're going to embark upon. And like I said previously, whether you're a seasoned coach or whether you're a brand new coach, the content here is going to be incredibly valuable, and have fun. That is one of the things that we pride ourselves on here at the Coaching Masters. We are so far from a stale coaching organization, you wouldn't believe it. We firmly believe that this should be informative and fun. Coaching is fun when done correctly, and it completely changes people's lives. So enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, because it should be fun. So who is this course for? Now, I briefly touched on this before, but let's really dive into it. This course, the Coaching Masters Coaching Foundation course, is for brand new coaches and experienced coaches. So brand new coaches, if you're brand new to the world of coaching, this may be your very first experience with coaching. You may never have come across coaching before. You might not have even heard the word coaching until you were introduced to the Coaching Masters. You could be that new to the whole thing. You are very, very welcome here. You are about to learn some of the key foundational elements that make coaching the most incredible tool that is used to help people achieve the life they want. You're going to learn this throughout this foundation. You're going to learn how that works and why it works, and you're going to learn how to do it. A whole new world is about to be opened up to you, and you will be able to start this journey as a coach yourself. So it's very, very exciting. New coaches, welcome. Experienced coaches, you are also welcome. If you are an experienced coach, you are just as welcome. Lots of experienced coaches praise the Coaching Masters for the new insights that we provide. This foundation course will undoubtedly teach you some new ideas, skills, and frameworks. It could reinvigorate, I love that word, it could reinvigorate your love of coaching or give you a boost along the journey. You know, and sometimes we need that. I'm an experienced coach. I've been a coach for a couple of years now, moving on to a few years. You know, relatively, it's interesting with the Coaching Masters, because compared to what the big wide world would expect from us, you know, when they look in on what we have achieved, they must think that we've been coaching for 10 years. But actually, in the grand scheme of things, we have been coaching for a very short amount of time. But that's only in comparison to other coaches. What we have achieved in that short amount of time is significant because we understand coaching. We understand its power and its impact. We understand how to utilize it and to use it. We understand how to take this thing called coaching and use it to help change people's lives. And because of that, we have very, very experienced coaches, people that have been coaching longer than myself and my business partner, Lewis, the other co-founder of the Coaching Masters, that have said to us that our insights are incredible, that they've learned so much, that we have been able to show them a perspective of coaching that they didn't have before. And we're going to be able to do this throughout this coaching foundation course. So I think it's really important to make that point. If you're brand new and this is your first ever experience with coaching and you're here, or you're an experienced coach, you've been coaching for 40 years, you're here, and everyone else in between, you are welcome on this course and you will also learn a lot. So, like I said before, if you've made it to this part of the membership, then you know who I am. But I think it's always important to reiterate who I am and who we are. Who am I? Who is Lewis? Who are the Coaching Masters? Because we have a firm understanding that time is very, very valuable. We really and truly understand this at the Coaching Masters. Time is the most valuable asset that you and I and everybody else has. It's more valuable than gold. It's more valuable than money. It's more valuable than anything else because we can never get that time back. We also understand that you are spending some of that time watching this training and absorbing the content of the Coaching Masters. That's what you're doing. You're literally spending the time. And it's time that you're spending that you won't get back. So we want to make sure all the time that you know that you're in safe hands, that you know that this is going to be time very well spent. And you're not just listening to people who don't know what they're talking about or who haven't applied these techniques, who haven't become successful. That's not the case at the Coaching Masters. We always want to be letting you know that you're learning from people who have been there, done that, got the t-shirt and made a success of it. So I'm Liam James Collins. I'm the co-founder of the Coaching Masters. I've been a mindset coach to celebrities within the amount of time that I have been coaching. I have coached Charlotte Crosby on The Charlotte Show for MTV. I've coached Letitia Grace on $1 Million Baby for MTV. And I've coached a whole bunch of other celebrities as well, some on television, some not. I've been featured on MTV, as I said, and the BBC. I was a successful actor for a while before I discovered coaching, but I went on quite a journey as an actor. I became a successful actor, but then the acting work really dried up, and it was something where it was a time in my life where I found myself, I was backed into a corner, as it were. I hit a dead end. It was a journey that just wasn't revealing itself to me. I didn't know where to go as an actor. I was lost. And so I needed to find something else. And actually, I went from being an actor to being a postman. You know, that's how lost I was. I just needed any job at the time. And I became a postman, and I was a postman for a couple of years. I'd gone from being on movie sets to delivering post, and I needed something significant. I needed something that was going to change my life. And fortunately, coaching was that thing. I've worked with Tom Hardy. I've worked with Morgan Freeman. I've worked with Anne Hathaway. I've worked with Michael Caine. I've worked with Christian Bale. I've worked with a significant amount of very, very awesome people in this world. I've traveled the world myself. I am an explorer. I've been to various different countries. My record is 16 countries in 11 months. And I have very recently purchased this £500,000 penthouse, which I'm in right now in London, which I'm very proud of. I always will be proud of that. I created a very successful coaching qualification and accreditation school. I'm a senior qualified and accredited coach, an NLP master practitioner, an international speaker. I've spoken on stage in Santorini, Greece, Barcelona, Spain. I've spoken all over the world. I have trained personally the biggest Fortune 500 organization in the world, Amazon. Amazon phoned me when they had heard about me as a coach, and they wanted me to become an in-house performance coach for some of the top personnel at Amazon, the best organization in the world. And I was an in-house performance coach for them for a short while. And it was an incredible experience, and the results were phenomenal. And I've generated over $500,000 in passive income course sales annually when it comes to coaching courses. So I know what I'm talking about, right? I know what I'm talking about. And every other TCM trainer at TCM knows what they're talking about. You are in safe hands, we promise. So what will you be able to do after this course? Well, you'll be able to coach people. That's one of the most significant things. You'll be able to actually coach people. One of the most incredible things about this free foundation course is that we will teach you the very first steps you need to take in order to genuinely coach people. It won't make you an expert, of course, but it will give you just enough tools to be able to make a positive change in someone's life. Now, when I say it won't make you an expert, the only reason I say that is because you could be studying for 20 years and not consider yourself an expert because there's so much more that you could learn. There are more skills you could develop. Also, you could become what you can consider to be an expert in a very short amount of time. It's relative, and it's all down to how much focus, attention, love, and effort you put into the process. I'm here to give you the tools that I know work, and I will give you those tools, or some of them at least, throughout this coaching foundation. Now, you're going to be actually getting a lot of tools throughout this foundation. It's going to be packed. It's going to be full. It's going to be rich. The experience is going to be great, and you are going to be able to coach people once you have finished this completely free foundation course. You'll be able to discuss and understand coaching during a coaching conversation. You will gain some very valuable knowledge about coaching. You will fully understand its concepts, and you will be able to have great discussions with people about the topic. So you walk into a room and you are able to have a deep, rich, and full discussion with anybody about coaching, even people that have been coaching for 20 years or 30 years. You will be able to talk about it, and you will start your journey or continue your journey in the world of coaching. The learnings that you will acquire throughout this course will allow you to start your journey as a coach. If you are completely new to coaching, this will act as your launch pad into the industry, into the world. And if you are an experienced coach already, use this as a way to progress onto the next stage of your coaching journey. And this is really exciting. You guys are gonna love this, because this is gorgeous. This is art. What will you get for completing this course? We wanted to reward you when you complete the entire coaching foundation here at the Coaching Masters. So upon completion of the course, you will receive a Coaching Masters Foundation in Coaching certificate. Your certificate will be emailed you, it will be personalized, it will have your name on it, and it is one of the most gorgeous, if not the most, definitely the most gorgeous coaching certificate online for a foundation coaching course in the world, online or offline. I mean, these certificates are stunning. They really are. And there's something to be proud of. So use this certificate on all your online profiles to show the world that you have completed this training here at the Coaching Masters. So let's jump in, shall we? And I'm not talking about that swimming pool. That was me. I was actually just about to deliver a coaching session. That's me when I was in the Maldives with my wife. We had the swimming pool all to ourselves. The Wi-Fi was strong. I had a coaching session, and I thought, do I do the coaching session in the little ocean beach hut that we had, or do I just jump in the pool and do the session there? And I did the session in the pool because it was quiet, it was private, the Wi-Fi was good, and my wife thought that she would get this quick snap of me just as I'm midway through, just about to work. But yeah, that is a far different life to being a postman. I'll tell you that much. When I was a postman, I couldn't dream about stuff like this. But yeah, I'm very grateful to coaching, as you can imagine. As I sit here in my penthouse in London, and that trip to the Maldives wasn't long ago, I'm very, very grateful. I love coaching, and I think that's obvious. So let's jump in. What is coaching, right? Now, all the way up until this point, you might be sitting there thinking, that sounds awesome, fantastic. What's coaching? I don't understand, right? And we don't want to take this for granted. You are at the Coaching Masters. You signed up to a Coaching Masters membership. You are now partaking in the Coaching Masters Coaching Foundation course. You know that I am one of the Coaching Masters. You know that coaching was something that pulled me out of being a postman and allowed me to find my way after my acting career didn't work out, and actually has allowed me to become way more successful than I ever was or ever could have imagined as an actor. But you're also probably thinking, what is coaching? What is it? So the easiest way to answer this question is to look at the difference between what we call a coach and a client, because those are the only two people that really matter in this equation, in this scenario. Okay, so let's break them down. This guy here who's looking a little bit worried and biting his nails, this is Daniel. Daniel is a client. For some reason, Daniel has recently felt directionless, unfulfilled, and is now beginning to feel stressed at work and at home. Sounds a little bit like me when I was a postman, right? There's a reason why I found coaching. Because of this, Daniel is feeling a lack of confidence and he isn't communicating well with the people in his life. Daniel is feeling stuck. He doesn't know how to turn this situation around. Daniel wants to feel confident, fulfilled, and happy. Daniel wants to find a direction in his life. Now, for all of you that are watching this, who's ever felt like that? Because I know I certainly have. Who has ever felt a lack of confidence, being unfulfilled, being directionless, being worried, not communicating well with your partner or your kids or the people in your life? Generally feeling anxious, waking up in the morning with worry. Who has felt like that? Me, for sure. I have once in my life. Now, let's look at Sarah, because Sarah is a coach. Sarah understands, as a coach, she doesn't have the answers to all of Daniel's problems. Now, that is significant, right? Because a lot of the time there's this misconception that coaches, people think a life coach, you as a life coach have the audacity to believe that you have the answer to everybody's problems, that you know how to live the perfect life. That's not the case. That's not what a life coach is. That's not what a coach is. Sarah, as a coach, understands she doesn't have the answers to all of Daniel's problems. Sarah understands that she hasn't had the same experiences as Daniel and therefore cannot give him advice. Now, that is also significant because a lot of people have this misconception that life coaches and coaches think they must know everything. They must have had a world of experiences and therefore they can give advice on how to live a better life, how to overcome these problems. That is not true. Sarah understands that it is not her place to tell Daniel what to do. So think about that for a minute. She doesn't have the answers to his problems. She's not there to give him advice. And she's not there to tell him what to do. So you might be watching this and thinking, well, what the hell is Sarah going to do? What is she going to do? How is she going to help him? If she's not going to give him advice, if she's not going to tell him what to do, if she doesn't have the answers, then how is she going to help him? However, as a coach, Sarah understands that Daniel must find the answers himself. And she can help him do that with very specific questions and a set of coaching tools designed to help Daniel get unstuck. Questions, tools, frameworks, methods, whatever you want to call them. This is what a coach does. This is what a coach like Sarah will use to utilize, or this is what they will utilize to allow their client to get unstuck and find the answers themselves. Because us as coaches, we don't have the answers. We don't have all the experience. We don't have the advice. We don't have the guidance. We're not going to tell people what to do, but we will ask very specific questions in a very specific way to help our clients bring their attention in on themselves to find the answers they're looking for and understand what action needs to be taken. And you're going to learn some of these questions throughout this coaching foundation. You're going to learn some of the tools and techniques and methods and frameworks used to be able to help people get unstuck. And therefore, you will be able to be and become and call yourself a coach. But still, that question, what is coaching? So let's move on. Sarah uses these questions and coaching tools to help Daniel get unstuck via a series of coaching sessions. Now, what is a coaching session? Coaching sessions normally last 1 hour and they're delivered in packages. Now, think about this for a moment. A 3-month coaching package, for example, right? Let's break that down. Throughout a 3-month period, Sarah will help Daniel find what he's looking for, okay? So Sarah, as a coach, could sell Daniel a 3-month coaching package. Now, throughout that 3 months, there are going to be certain things that Daniel needs to achieve in order to live a happier life. In Daniel's case, he wants to increase his confidence, he wants to improve his communication with his loved ones, and discover a direction for his life to feel more fulfilled. These are the kinds of things that Sarah can help Daniel achieve via a series of 1-hour coaching sessions. So let's say, for example, Sarah coaches Daniel for 1 hour a week for 3 months. So that's one session a week that lasts 1 hour for 3 months. Now, throughout that time, Sarah would be able to help Daniel increase his confidence, improve his communication, discover a direction for his life, feel fulfilled, using and utilizing those coaching questions, methods, frameworks, techniques that we spoke about. So in a nutshell, that's what coaching is, essentially. A coach, they use questions, techniques, methods, and frameworks to help a client become unstuck and achieve the things they want in their life through a series of coaching sessions. That's coaching. What makes a great coach? So you guys, you now know what a coach is, and you now know how coaches operate. You know what a coach is, you know what they use to help people, and you know the structure in which they help people. Coaches are people that don't give advice or guidance. They don't have all the answers. They use questions, methods, techniques, and coaching frameworks in a series of sessions. That's what coaching is. But what makes a great coach? Now, this is a big question. If you relate, now this is a very important point. If you relate to any one of these attributes, you could be the next great coach. Let that sink in for a second. If you relate to any one of these attributes, you could be the next great coach. So let's break them down. High emotional intelligence. This is a big one. Coaches generally have high emotional intelligence. They're good at understanding and relating to people. And they're interested in people. They're very interested. They like to get to know people. They are able to understand people. Even people that are going through a hard time or maybe difficult to deal with. Coaches tend to be able to understand these people due to the high emotional intelligence they have. Think about that for a minute. Is that you? Are you that person? Do people feel connected to you? Do you feel connected to people? The next one is a genuine desire to help others. You must genuinely want to help others develop and succeed to become a really good coach. It's no good just saying that you want to help people. You have to genuinely want to help people. Do you have that desire? Do you have that want? Empathy. Coaches need to be able to show empathy, to be good at building relationships, including building rapport. Now, what is rapport? Rapport is when you have a good connection with another person. You have good rapport with your friends. That's why they're your friends. You have a good connection with them. You have a bad rapport with people that you just don't like. You just don't get on with. That's when a rapport doesn't exist. So coaches, good coaches are able to develop and show a level of empathy for other people and their situations they find themselves in. So even just those three, high emotional intelligence, a genuine desire to help others, empathy, if you have even one of those, you could be the next great coach. Communication skills. Good coaches also have strong communication skills. They can communicate with people from all walks of life. They're good at clarifying information. Coaches are good at gathering information and then clarifying it to the person being coached. They generally have strong listening skills, including active listening. Now, active listening is where you're genuinely listening to another person. You're not listening in order to have your turn to speak. You're not listening whilst you're thinking about what you're going to have for dinner that night. You're genuinely listening to every single word they're saying. You're actively listening to them. Coaches are very, very good at that, because what they then do is they take that information they've heard and they clarify the information and relay it back to the person being coached. Think, are you good at that? Are you good at listening to others and then relaying to them what it is they've said in order to further understand them? That's a skill that coaches have. Coaches have understanding. Great coaches don't jump in straight away with the answer, but rather make sure that they fully understood the issue by reflecting and clarifying. Great coaches don't just jump straight in with their opinion. They reflect back to the client. Sometimes I'm going to say coach and client and I get it mixed up, but we need to be really clear. So great coaches are good at listening to the client and then reflecting back to the client what they have just said in order to show that they have listened to them and understood them and then clarified what they said. Think about that for a minute. Communication skills, clarifying information, understanding are these things that you're good at. Now, one of the most significant things that makes a great coach, and this is what this entire session is going to be focused on because it is significant, strong questioning skills. This is a very important one, and we will be looking at this in more detail throughout the next few slides. Great coaches have usually taken time to develop strong questioning skills. Coaches should ask questions to guide the person being coached through the issue that they're faced with. Now, this is what we were saying before, remember? They don't give advice, they don't give guidance, they don't have all the answers. They're very, very good. Coaches are very, very good at asking questions, very skillful at asking questions, and it is a skill. And you're going to learn that skill during this session. So over the next few slides, we'll be looking at why strong questioning skills, is one of the number one attributes of a great coach. But until we dive in with that, stop a minute. How you can start to become a coach. This is how you can start to become a coach. Before we dive into any coaching questions, I want you to start to think about yourself as a coach as of right now. Now, of course, if you're one of those experienced coaches listening to this, you will already identify as a coach. But even you guys, remind yourself of who you are and why you are a coach. For those of you that are completely brand new, what I don't want you to do, I don't want you to be listening to this and watching this and thinking about coaches being something other than you. Oh yeah, that's brilliant. I can see how those coaches do this. You are a coach. As of right now, you are a coach. That is part of your identity. It is who you are. It is what you are here for. You are going to create a huge impact as a coach. You're going to do a lot of good in this world as a coach. You are a coach. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to start to think about yourself as a coach, become that coach in your mind, and listen to the next few slides. And as you listen to the next few slides, which are all about questions, I want you to write these questions down, okay? Now, these slides that you're looking at right now, they will become available to you. So you don't need to drastically write all of this stuff down in a panic. I want you to absorb the information at the same time. But it's good to get pen and paper and sometimes to jot things down in order to get it out of our minds and out there into the big wide world, into the universe, into this space. So write down some of these questions, right? Especially the ones that really stand out to you. Then what I want you to do is I want you to ask these questions to your friends and family just to see how powerful they are. If you're a coach already, ask these questions to your clients. If you're brand new to this, just ask these questions to friends and family and anyone that will listen, because you will see how powerful they are. Now start to think of yourself as a coach. Start to see what a dramatic positive effect you can have on someone's life if you ask these questions in the right way. So let's dive in. Coaching questions. This is the bulk of this training that you're watching now. This is the bulk of coaching, is coaching questions. This is a significant part of the journey. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, how could I ever charge people money for just having a conversation with me? That is a question that a lot of people will be thinking, right? And that is something that you're faced with when you first discover the world of coaching. And what you see is you see two people having a conversation and one of those people being paid for it. That's not what this is. Powerful coaching questions are the reason as to why coaching is not just a conversation. So much of excellent coaching is about asking great questions, but not just any questions. Coaches ask questions in a very specific way. Great coaches ask questions that belong to certain categories. Now, this is more than likely going to be something you've never even heard of before. Now, you might think, well, a question is a question. A question is not just a question. We have coaching question categories in the world of coaching. These are just 3 of the categories that coaching questions belong to. And we're going to be diving into all of them on this training. We have scale questions, hypothetical questions, and solution-focused questions. Just read them again. Scale questions, hypothetical questions, solution-focused questions. So let's have a look at what they mean, why they're powerful, and when we should use them as a coach. Why are coaching questions so effective? Now imagine yourself sitting in front of a client, just like the Daniel and Sarah example, and you're going to use these questions to help your client. You're going to use these questions to help your client shift their perspective. Now that's very significant because when your client comes to you with a problem, they are faced with a problem. But what you will begin to learn throughout your coaching journey is that a problem is not a problem. The perspective that a person has on a problem is the problem. So you're going to be able to help people shift that perspective through powerful coaching questions. You're going to be able to get them to gain clarity around their current situation, raise their awareness around who they are, where they are, the people that they're around, their situation. Take helpful action and stop unhelpful action. Now you're going to be able to encourage your client to act, to do, to take action in a helpful way, and stop taking action is holding them back. You're able to do this with well-placed coaching questions, and that is why they're so effective. That is why this is not just a conversation, because when a client comes to you and they are faced with a problem or a series of problems, like Daniel, a lack of confidence, feeling unfulfilled, feeling directionless, not communicating well with his family. Those are problems. And the perception that he has on those problems are a problem. So when you're able to ask a series of questions that allow him to shift his perspective, gain clarity, raise his awareness, start taking action, stop unhelpful action, it's going to change his life. That is going to change his life. I've seen it. I've done it. Time and time again, session after session. I've changed lives due to these questions that you're about to learn and those shifts in perspective and that clarity that is gained. This is powerful, everyone. This is powerful stuff. This is not just a conversation. This is life-changing. And that's why those sessions are worth money. So let's look at the first category, scale questions. Now, what is a scale question? Of course, you're asking yourself. Scale questions make it easier to talk about subjective perceptions, such as satisfaction, motivation, cognition, impressions, feelings, progress. They're subjective perceptions. You know, in everyday life, they're not normally the things that would be measured, right, or ranked. We wouldn't often say, you know what, I'm feeling 87% motivated today. You know what, I am 67% sad. We just don't normally think that way. But actually, it's very, very useful for us to scale those subjective perceptions in that way. Now, that's what they are. Like we said, satisfaction, motivation, cognition, impression, feelings, frustration, sadness, happiness, excitement. They're subjective emotions, they're subjective points of view, they're subjective experiences, they're subjective perceptions. Now, they become measurable and comparable with scale questions. These questions are usually on a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 is normally the weakest and 10 is normally the strongest. The client can answer the question and give it a certain value without having to define and express what exactly that means for them. Now, this is powerful stuff, guys. This is really powerful stuff. When you've got a client who comes to you and they're struggling with something, and we ask them a series of scale questions in order to be able to measure exactly where they're currently at and compare that with where they would like to be, that becomes very, very significant. So before we look at some scale questions, let's think about the benefits of scale questions. Some of the benefits are changes, improvements, and differences and progress. They can be realized, right? Now, a lot of the time throughout our life, we change. Okay, we change on a daily basis. But you know what it's like when you look at a picture of yourself from 10 years ago and it seems like yesterday, and you think, oh my God, I've changed so much. Change, improvements, differences, progress, they happen without us realizing it. Scale questions allow your client to realize that these things are occurring and measure them. So they are able to say, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to be, and this is what I need to do to get there. So they're significant. They encourage self-monitoring. Now, self-monitoring is huge in coaching because we need to be able to monitor ourselves and our own progress if we have any hope in achieving success, if we have any hope in going from where we're currently stuck to where we want to be. We need to be able to monitor ourselves. It's like in the health and fitness world, right? A lot of personal trainers will say one of the most significant things that you need to do is you need to be able to track your progress. You need to be able to say, right, I can dumbbell curl a 10 kilogram dumbbell as of right now, and I can do 8 reps. It's significant to be able to monitor that, because then as you make progress and all of a sudden you can do 9 reps, 10 reps, 11, 12, 13, you need to be able to look back on your progress and monitor it and say, this is the progress I'm making. It's easy to do that with things like exercise because a lot of that stuff is in numbers anyway. How many sets, how many reps, you know, what's the weight? Is it 10 kilograms? Is it 20 kilograms? But we don't often do that in our life. We don't often give numbers and a numerical meaning to confidence and emotion and sadness and frustration. But we need to do that if we're going to self-monitor where we're currently at in our lives. So it's significant. The coach gains information about feelings and perceptions without the need for clients to write them down or explain them in detail. You don't need necessarily to deep dive into the psyche of your client like a therapist may attempt, to understand the level of sadness that they're feeling, or frustration or anger or happiness or excitement. Because you can just come out and ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at right now with your confidence? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at right now with your sadness? And there, as a coach, you're able to gain an insight into that person's feelings and perceptions without them needing to deep dive into exactly what it is they're experiencing. So scale questions are huge in the world of coaching, absolutely huge. So let's look at some scale questions. Let's dive into them. Now, these are going to be the slides that end up becoming very valuable for you as you start to coach people. And there's something that I want to say about that. Now, there is nothing unprofessional about having these questions written in front of you as you coach a client. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. There's a reason for that. The client wants a result. The client wants to feel better. The client wants to get unstuck. The client wants to move from here, where they're currently stuck, to here, which is where they desire to be. The client doesn't care how you get them there. They just want to get there. Okay? So don't feel that you need to memorize all of this stuff in order to look professional, because the client, quite frankly, doesn't care. The client wants the result. Now, if you ask a client a series of coaching questions that are memorized or written down, the result is exactly the same. Because when you ask somebody a question, as soon as you ask them that question, their brain then goes off on a journey to find an answer. That whether they've been asked that question, having read it off a bit of paper, or having been asked the question via memory, it doesn't matter. Their brain doesn't differentiate between those two things. It is just as professional, it is just as impactful, and it is just as effective for you to have a series of questions written down in front of you, or have a manual, or have a book, or print this out, or whatever, whilst you're coaching people, because they want the result. So I just want to say that right here, right now, as part of the Coaching Foundation, in case you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh God, maybe I need to memorize all these questions to be really professional. You just don't, okay? So let's look at some of these scale questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated do you feel? How good is that, right? Now, straight out the gate, you get to understand exactly where somebody is in terms of their level of motivation. You might want to make that more specific to something that somebody's going through. You might have a client that comes to you and says, you know what, I really want to build a better relationship with my wife. And you say to them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to build a better relationship with your wife? And they go, oh, you know what, only a 3. Then you want to go down that route, because really what they're coming to you and saying is, I want to build a better relationship with my wife. And you could end up thinking, all right, how am I going to help them do that? But you come straight out with a scale question and you realize that actually they're not very motivated to do it. And that is where you want to explore. That's where you want to take your line of questioning next, in order to try to find out what is the reason for that and how you can help them raise that number from a 3 up to a 10. How would you rate the importance of the problem on a scale of 1 to 10? That is significant. When they come to you and they say, you know what, my problem is that I'm feeling a lack of confidence. How would you rate the importance of the problem on a scale of 1 to 10? And they say, actually, it's only a 2. If I'm going to scale it, the thing that I say is a 10 out of 10 problem for me at the moment is that. And they might end up coming up with something different. Or they might indeed say it's a 10. And you're focusing on the right thing. How would you rate your relationship on a scale of 1 to 10? How happy are you with your new job on a scale of 1 to 10? On a scale of 1 to 10, how stressed are you during a presentation? On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with this decision? You can scale anything. That is why this is so significant. You can scale anything. And you should be scaling everything, because, like we said before on the previous slide, it helps them encourage self-monitoring. It allows you to realize and for them to realize progress, improvements, differences, and it gives you a great insight into exactly where they're at the moment without them needing to go into a lot of detail. So scale questions are massive in the world of coaching. I highly recommend you become very skilled with them. I highly recommend you learn a lot of them. But in a nutshell, really it's a scale of 1 to 10. So you could just say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate blank? And you could pretty much fill it in with whatever it is you're talking about at the time. So it's really flexible as well. Now, after you've had a few sessions, you might want to use scale questions to follow up, okay, to track progress. So here are some examples that you could use. What has happened since the last time as you've changed your rating from a 5 to a 7? So you might be following up with a client, and in session 1, you say to them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated do you feel? And they say 2. And on session 4, you ask them the same question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated do you feel? And they say 8. Then a follow-up question could be, what has happened? What has happened since the last time that we sat down and spoke? What has happened since session 1? Because your rating has gone from a 2 to an 8, from a 4 to a 6. Ask them, what has happened? Because something has happened in order to raise the number, and you want to know what it is because you want to focus on it during other coaching sessions. How did you manage to make it a 6, right? If the number's increasing, that's another brilliant question. How did you manage to achieve a 6, a 7, an 8, whatever their number is now? Because they will tell you, and there's gold in those numbers and in that explanation, because they'll say, you know what, in order to go from a 4 to a 6, what I needed to do is I needed to leave the house more. That's what I've realized. And I needed to sit down and talk to my wife more often. There's the magic. That's what we're looking for. That is a client finding the answers themselves, exactly like we did with Daniel. We didn't tell him what he needed to do. We didn't need to give him advice. We didn't need to guide him. We didn't have the answers. But through a series of coaching questions, of which, of course, you're going to learn more after this, you've allowed him to realize what it is he needs to do. And scaling is a very good way of doing that. What exactly needs to happen to take it from a 6 to an 8? So that's a really good one. Like when you say to someone, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated do you feel? They say, it's a 6. And you ask them, where do you want it to be? And they say, I want it to be an 8. What exactly needs to happen to take it from a 6 to an 8? The reason that that's so golden is because your client will tell you what they need to do in order to improve. And then you just need to encourage them to do that and help them on that journey. What do you think? Why did you reduce your rating from a 6 to a 4? Now, this may be where a rating has gone down, maybe over a few days or weeks or years. You ask them, what do you think? Okay, really engage their thought process in this journey. Why did you reduce your rating from 6 to a 4? And get them again to divulge the information. So scale questions are significant because one, it allows us to realize where people are at, but also it allows us to gauge progress. And it also allows the client to tell us exactly what needs to happen to make improvements or what has happened for them to reduce their number. Scale questions are huge, absolutely huge. So hypothetical questions, these are big ones as well in the world of coaching. Hypothetical questions are usually future orientated and give the client the possibility to think about a different point of view and new solutions. Now, you know, before when we said that a big part of the coaching journey is to help people gain clarity, raise their awareness, shift their perspective. That's what this is all about. Like it says there, give the client the possibility to think about a different point of view and new solutions. Different points of view and new solutions are your one-way ticket to creating change in the lives of clients. It's not so much about finding a concrete solution to a certain problem, but more about evaluating possibilities. Now, as you move through your coaching journey, you'll learn that possibilities are huge. We're not always, like it says, trying to find a concrete answer to a problem. We are trying to explore possibilities to allow us to overcome that problem. The coaching client describes possible scenarios to solve a problem or to accomplish something. That's what we achieve through hypothetical questions. She or he proactively shows creativity, and that's what we're looking to achieve as well. We need our clients to be creatively thinking about solutions and creatively thinking about what it is they can achieve and how they can achieve it and how they can overcome issues. Many times the client finds out very fast if this scenario or idea is feasible and worthwhile. They learn to estimate and calculate the consequences of this change or solution for them and their environment. Hypothetical situations and hypothetical questions are significant in the world of coaching because it allows us to use our imagination, use the imagination of our clients, and find answers by exploring possible solutions and possible avenues before we've actually gone there. So what are the benefits and effects of hypothetical questions? They stimulate the creativity of a client. when they search for ideas and possible solutions. Stimulating the creativity of a client is significant, it's important, and it's an absolute must, okay? Because it is via this creativity that the clients will be able to find the answers to the problems they're looking for, or indeed be able to find avenues to allow them how to get where they want to be. The coach can use the answers to evaluate the next steps of the process. So, you're going to learn about some of these hypothetical questions now, but you'll learn that the answers that you get from your client can be used to create your further sessions, your next sessions. They can be used because you now know where to take them because they've told you this is what I need. So let's look at some hypothetical questions. Now, normally hypothetical questions start with what or how. For instance, how would you attack this challenge if money were no object? Very interesting. Now, if you've got a client that says to you, yeah, I really want to do this, but I can't because I don't have any money. I really want to go there. I really want to see that person. I really want to achieve this goal, but I can't because I haven't got any money. How would you attack this challenge if money were no object? Get creative with it. How would you attack the challenge? How would you attack the challenge if you were never able to obtain money? Let's imagine for a moment that we had accepted that you were not going to get any money, but you still wanted to achieve that goal. How would you make that happen? Get creative. What would you need to do if you want to accomplish this goal faster? Think about that for a moment. It spurs creativity through a hypothetical question. I want to achieve this goal, and I want to achieve this goal faster. What would you need to do if you want to accomplish this goal faster, right? If that was a desire that somebody had, if they wanted to get it done faster, what would you need to do? The key is in the what would you need to do. And a lot of the time with your clients, what you'll find is they'll go, well, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I've tried everything. And in those situations, keep digging, keep digging, keep digging, keep asking the question and say to them, get creative, use your imagination. Yeah, but what if, what if, what if? What if you could decide alone what to do? This is good for when people are in situations where other people seem to be making a lot of the decisions for them or with them and they feel trapped. What if you could decide alone what to do? What would you do? And they say, well, actually, if I could decide alone, I would do this, 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 and this. There's a lot of gold in that answer because that is the direction you want to help them, go down. How would you solve this problem if time was not an issue? What would a typical work week in this job look like, in your opinion? What would your partner do if you put this plan into practice? What if you would just stop complaining about your boss? What if you did stop complaining about your boss? How would you react if someone asks you for help in this case? How would your dream job look? What would your dream job look like? How would it look? What if you don't solve this problem within 6 months? What are the consequences? This is just very much about hypothetical situations. What if? How? Imagine, right? This is what you're trying to do. You're trying to spur on and really, really utilize the creativity of your client because that, in those moments, that is where they will find answers. When you're sitting there and you're saying, yeah, but what if? Yeah, but imagine. How would this look? How would you be able to make that happen? In this world of imagination, if X and Y were not a problem, how would you make this happen? How would it work? Imagine for a moment. This is what you're trying to do. So really try to instill their creativity in their imagination because the answers they give most of the time are what they should be doing. But they're being held back by what they think and feel are barriers in their life. But they're only barriers because they have not yet explored how, when, why to overcome that barrier. And you're doing that. You're allowing them to overcome that barrier, utilizing imagination through hypothetical questions. So hypothetical questions are a huge tool in the arsenal of a coach. Solution-focused questions. Now, we've looked at scale questions. We've looked at hypothetical questions. And now finally, let's look at solution-focused questions, because these are significant in the world of coaching. So what is a solution-focused question? When we deal with problems, we often have negative things on our mind. Now, just let that sink in for a moment. Reread that line. When we deal with problems, we often have negative things on our mind. It's not going to be very effective trying to deal with a problem or overcome a problem with a solution when we're thinking about negative things. The solution-focused questions in coaching puts the client's focus on strengths instead of weaknesses. The focus is on competencies, not inadequacies. I hate saying that word, inadequacies. It's always a tongue twister for me. On what can be done rather than what can't be done. The focus is on the solution, not the problem. Now, for everybody watching this, how often do you or the people around you fall into the trap of focusing on problems, on things that you can't do, opposed to focusing on solutions and things that you can do? This is what solution-focused questions are all about. Solution-focused questions in coaching give you the possibility to steer the conversation in a positive direction. They help to find out which strategies and options they have already tried and which capabilities and possibilities are still undetected. So we want to know what's been done, what's been tried, but we want to identify what hasn't been done, what hasn't been tried. Where are the solutions? Because there is always a solution to a problem. Always. And as a coach, we will find that solution with our clients. We will allow them to find it. We will help them find it. And one of the best ways of doing that is asking solution-focused questions. What are the benefits and effects of them? Conversation is focused towards a positive and constructive direction. That is what we are always wanting to achieve as coaches. Always, 100% of the time, without fail. We want to be focused towards a positive and constructive direction. The client concentrates on possibilities, resources, and helpful people in this environment. That is significant because your clients, I can guarantee, are going to be starting sessions with you focused on problems. Focused on how this person is a problem in their life, how they don't have any opportunities, how that's not a possibility, how they don't have any resources, how no one's helping them, how they don't know how to help themselves. 100% of the time, the client concentrates on possibilities, resources, and helpful people in this environment with solution-focused questions. The client's focus is taken away from blocks, barriers, and negative influences, which is where their mindset will be firmly fixed. So let's look at some solution-focused questions. In which situation is everything working fine and you don't have these concerns or problems? See, that's really significant. Already you're guiding their mind towards an area of their life which isn't a problem. Now, you can guarantee that they are going to only be firmly focused on all of the areas of their life which are a problem. And that's where this negative mindset really starts to drag them down, because they're only thinking about the things they deem as a problem. You could ask them, tell me, what area of your life at the moment is not a concern, is not a problem? What area are you thriving in? What area do you love? What is different in these situations? That's really significant. So you've got them to say, well, actually, my relationship is really great, or my business is fantastic, or you know what, I'm not worried about work. You get them to focus on areas of their lives which are not a problem, which are actually very, very good. And you ask them, what's different about that situation compared to the situation in which you've come to see me? Find the differences, because the differences will be significant, that you'll be able to reveal a lot of information in the differences. How could you avoid these concerns during a positive period? How can you avoid those concerns? How can you avoid those problems? How can you deal with them? How can you fix them? How can you help them? Solution, solution, solution. This is what we're looking for. What do you need to change in order to have these positive periods more often? How could someone help you with this? That is an amazing question, because they're saying, well, actually, someone could help me with this problem by this, this, and this. And then those are the things that you want to be focusing on, because that's where we know we can help our clients. Which resources or capabilities would be useful to accomplish this? Ask them, what resources do you have? What skills do you have? What are you very good at that will help you overcome this problem? Did you overcome similar challenges in the past, or have you overcome similar challenges in the past? Well, actually, yeah, there was a time 20 years ago where I overcame something quite similar to this. How did you do it? What did you do? When did you do it? How did you do it? Divulge that information, find the resources, find the solutions. How did you manage to keep the situation under control? Exactly like we said there, ask them how. The point of solution-focused questions is your responsibility via questions to take your client who is in a negative, problem-focused mindset, grab them and throw them in the solution direction. Throw them in the direction of only solutions and outcomes and resources. How can you achieve this? When can you achieve this? Who can you get to help you? How can you ask them? What can you do? When can you do it? How do you need to feel? How do you need to think? How do you need to act in order to solve this problem? There is a lot of power in solution-focused questions. Now, let's look at the power of questions as a whole, because we've looked at scale questions, hypothetical questions, solution-focused questions. Can you see, just by looking at only 3 of the main coaching question categories, that powerful questions help a person gain clarity, raise awareness, shift perspective, take action, and much more? Now, it's very important to know that this is just scratching the surface of coaching, scratching the surface. But already it's obvious why coaching conversations are not just a conversation. This isn't just 2 people having a chat. This is a client who is faced with a series of problems that they feel that they cannot overcome. And this is a coach helping them overcome those questions by asking them very specific questions, by helping them overcome those problems by asking very specific questions like scale questions, hypothetical questions, and solution-focused questions. This is scratching the surface of the surface of the surface. But this is why coaching sessions are so worth paying for. Because Daniel, for instance, if he's able to increase his confidence and overcome his problems and communicate better with his family and feel more fulfilled and find a direction, is that worth paying for? You bet that's worth paying for. It's worth paying a lot. Because without overcoming those barriers, he's going to live a miserable life. And a lot of people are, because they're not driving forward or solution focused or overcoming their barriers and problems and achieving their goals. And you can help them do that as a coach. Now let's have a quick look, just as we finish off this session, let's quickly look at how a coaching session should go. This is a coaching session framework that I recommend you follow. Now that you have 30 powerful coaching questions that you can use as of today to start coaching people, let me show you how to put it into a structured coaching session. Now, when your coaching session begins, you want to first focus on objectives. So this is where at the very beginning of the coaching session, you want to ask your client, what do you want to achieve in today's session? What problem are you faced with? What barrier are you struggling to overcome? What goal would you like to try to achieve? Get them to tell you. Never be the one that dictates how a coaching session goes, because your clients need to be able to bring to the table exactly what it is they're feeling at the time. They need to be able to bring to the table the biggest problems they're faced with in that moment, or the things that are playing on their mind the most, or the goals that they want to achieve that are most important to them. So in terms of the first stage, which is objectives, get them to tell you what the objectives are for the session. Then, after they told you what the objectives are and you understand what it is they're looking to overcome and to achieve, ask them coaching questions to help them gain clarity, raise their awareness, to help them understand what action needs to be taken and what action needs to be stopped. You know, everything that we've been speaking about in this session, Ask those questions to help them gain a much more helpful perspective on what it is they're faced with. And then at the end of the session, after they've gained an excellent perspective, you always want to finish a session by recommending some actions that they can then take in order to move forward and closer towards this goal, and move away from the thing they don't want and closer towards the thing they do want. So start the session, understand the objectives of the session, ask questions to help them understand what needs to be done and shift their perspective. And then with this new perspective, recommend some actions they need to take. And then that's the end of the session. They need to go away, they need to take those actions, and then you revisit on the next session. So we've covered a lot during this training. Now, this is the very, very first step in the coaching foundation here at the Coaching Masters. And like we said, this is a completely free training. This is a completely free coaching foundation course that is included within your Coaching Masters membership. And it is full. I told you, didn't I? I said it's going to be packed with information. It's full, it's rich, it's detailed. You are going to be very, very skillful coaches after this. Now, what have we covered? We've covered a lot during session 1 of the Coaching Foundation course at the Coaching Masters. You learned what the Coaching Foundation is all about. You learned what coaching is. You learned what makes a great coach. You learned 3 of the most powerful coaching question categories: scale questions, hypothetical questions, solution-focused questions. You learned why coaching questions are so effective, and you learned a structure and a way of structuring your coaching sessions. So that is session 1 of the Coaching Foundation course here at the Coaching Masters completed. And I cannot wait to get to know all of you and to see you progress on this journey as you become very, very skillful coaches here at the Coaching Masters.